Welcome to the Stronger with Age podcast, because aging is just the beginning. Today, we're diving into something I know is on a lot of your minds: making the most, absolutely the most of your retirement years.
Right.
We've been pulling together information from a bunch of different sources to look at something that's a really fascinating possibility for a lot of you
Okay.
retiring abroad.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how many people are looking beyond the typical retirement spots
Right.
and considering international living.
Exactly. Like, this is your shortcut to understanding some of the most compelling options out there. We're going to get through all the noise. We're going to help you focus on what really matters for a happy and healthy retirement overseas, like for you. And we'll be looking at countries that offer that great mix that we're always talking about: affordability, quality healthcare, rich cultures.
It seems like there's a huge trend underway.
Yeah.
When you look at the data, I mean, searches for things like how to leave the U.S. are taking off, really taking off.
Yeah, it's interesting
Yeah.
that it's not just people who are nearing retirement.
No.
Like, our information shows that there's a real demographic shift happening.
Absolutely.
There's people in their mid-30s and 40s
Yeah.
who are actively exploring this as well.
I think the rise of remote work has opened up a lot of new horizons for people.
Right. So for all of you out there who are wondering if this could be your next chapter, this deep dive is here to guide you through it. The cost of living, healthcare systems, visa requirements, safety, local culture in a number of different countries. Our mission here is to give you valuable insights and maybe even spark some inspiration for the future. Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit. What are the absolute must-know factors for you if you're thinking about making this kind of leap?
We've touched on the main pillars. Affordability is a big draw for a lot of people. The access to healthcare, that's actually good and reasonably priced.
Yeah.
Naturally, your safety and security are going to be paramount. And then there are the practicalities, understanding the visa and residency rules, because those can be wildly different from one country to the next.
Right.
And then, of course, there's local culture.
Yeah.
Is there a supportive community of expats? That can help ease your transition.
That feeling of connection is so vital.
It is.
It's not just about the bottom line.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like.
Yeah.
Like, really digging into those residency visas and the healthcare options are non-negotiable. It's interesting that our sources really do highlight that healthcare outside the U.S. does tend to be more affordable.
Yeah, that's a big takeaway. And for those of you who might be thinking about your existing Medicare coverage, it's important to know that generally that won't cover your medical expenses outside the U.S. Keeping that coverage might still be a smart move, though, just for potential trips back stateside or just for your peace of mind.
Okay, so let's zero in on some specific locations. Panama keeps coming up as a top-rated retirement destination.
Yeah, Panama gets a lot of good press.
Okay, so what makes it so attractive?
A big reason is its retiree visa, the pensionado visa. And what's interesting for you is how it's structured. If you have a lifetime pension of at least $1,000 a month, you could qualify for permanent residency.
That's huge.
That's a big benefit, right?
Yeah.
And a whole host of discounts.
Discounts. Tell me more.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking potential savings on things like medical services, your utility bills, public transportation, entertainment, and even your prescription medications.
Wow.
So imagine those savings adding up.
Yeah.
It can really make your retirement income go further. Now, there is a slight increase in the minimum pension requirement if you have dependents joining you.
Okay.
About $250 more per month, per dependent.
Got it. So what about overall cost of living for you in Panama?
Our information suggests that a couple could live comfortably there on a monthly budget of around $2,500 to $3,000, and you could even enjoy a more luxurious lifestyle for approximately $2,900 a month.
Wow, okay. So healthcare.
Yeah.
Major consideration for many of you. What does that look like?
Panama has excellent modern hospitals.
Yeah.
Particularly in Panama City. A real plus for many is that a significant number of doctors speak English, so that makes communication a lot easier.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned with the pensionado visa, legal residents of retirement age, so men 60 and women 55, receive a 20% discount on prescription drugs.
Wow.
Private health insurance can also be quite affordable, ranging from about $50 to $90 per month for plans specific to Panama, or around $2,200 a month for international coverage if that suits you better.
So it seems like the visa situation is quite advantageous. With the pensionado visa.
It is.
But are there other avenues for residency for you?
Yeah, there are a few. The Friendly Nations visa is another option, often involving a real estate investment of over $200,000
Yeah.
or placing funds in a fixed term deposit.
Okay.
There's also a temporary telework visa, which is valid for up to 18 months if you happen to still be working remotely. And for those of you from the US and Canada, a tourist visa allows you to stay for up to 6 months initially.
Okay. And then what about the day-to-day experience? What kind of lifestyle could you expect?
You'll find a warm climate, modern amenities, and a very welcoming environment for expats. There's a variety of lifestyles to choose from, whether you prefer the buzz of city life, relaxing on the beach, or the cooler climate of the highlands.
Okay.
Plus, any income you earned outside of Panama is generally tax-free.
That's a big one.
And property tax on your primary home is quite low, around 0.5%.
Okay.
You also discover friendly expat communities. And English is widely spoken in those areas, which can make settling in a lot easier.
Right. Are there any potential drawbacks, things you should be aware of?
Well, outside the main expat enclaves, you might find that English isn't as widely spoken.
Okay.
Also, the application process for the pensionado visa typically requires you to work with a Panamanian attorney.
Okay.
And you usually need to be in Panama to apply.
Okay, got it. So let's move on to Portugal. Another really popular choice for you?
Yeah.
Consistently ranked highly
It is.
for retirement. What's the appeal?
Portugal offers a really attractive quality of life at a cost that is generally quite reasonable, although it's important for you to know that prices do vary depending on where you choose to live. Lisbon, Porto, and the Algarve tend to be more expensive, while the Silver Coast provides more budget-friendly options.
So what kind of monthly budget might a couple like you be looking at?
Estimates suggest that a couple could live comfortably on around $2,500 to $3,000 per month. And if we break down typical expenses outside of rent, you're looking at maybe between 80 and 150 euros for utilities,
Okay.
around 65 euros for your phone and internet, about 400 euros for groceries, approximately 550 euros for private health insurance for two,
Okay.
and perhaps 75 euros for a gym membership. Keep in mind, though, that owning a car can be more costly,
Yeah.
particularly with the price of gasoline.
And what's the healthcare situation look like for you in Portugal?
Portugal has a universal healthcare system that residents can access, although there might be small fees for certain services.
Okay.
For more comprehensive coverage and potentially shorter wait times, private insurance is recommended. And it's considered high quality and relatively affordable, estimated at around 550 euros per month for a couple.
And what about the visa process for those of you wanting to retire there?
The retirement visa, often called the D7 visa,
Okay.
is a common pathway. As of January 2025, it generally requires proof of passive income, around 870 euros per month, along with having temporary health insurance, and a clean criminal record. This visa is renewable, and it can eventually lead to permanent residency or even citizenship. For you considering this, it's wise to look into the potential tax implications of becoming a citizen on any foreign pensions you might have.
And safety is always a big one. How does Portugal measure up?
Portugal is considered a very safe nation, ranking as the 7th most peaceful country globally in 2023. So that's a big plus for peace of mind.
Absolutely. And the culture.
Yeah.
What would it be like for you to live there?
Portugal boasts a rich and diverse culture, with influences evident in its wine production. Beautiful tile art, the soulful music of fado, stunning architecture, and of course its delicious cuisine. There's a variety of landscapes and lifestyles to choose from the sunny beaches of the Algarve to the unique island of Madeira, and the local communities are generally very welcoming to newcomers.
Are there any key things you should keep in mind if Portugal is on your list?
Getting a mortgage in Portugal can sometimes be a little challenging.
Okay.
Often requiring a substantial down payment, and loans may need to be fully repaid by the time you reach 75, depending on the lender.
Okay.
So because of this, many people find it best to rent initially, to explore different areas and get a better sense of where they'd like to settle.
Okay, let's journey back to Central America and explore Costa Rica, famous for its Pura Vida lifestyle.
Yeah.
What makes it appealing for you in retirement?
Costa Rica is incredibly popular because of its strong emphasis on nature.
Okay.
Its rich biodiversity, a commitment to eco-friendly living, and that wonderfully relaxed Pura Vida atmosphere.
What about the cost of living for you there?
It's estimated that a couple could live comfortably in the range of $2,000 to $3,000 per month.
Okay.
although this can fluctuate depending on your individual lifestyle preferences.
Okay, and the healthcare system in Costa Rica?
Costa Rica's healthcare is highly regarded, ranking 36th worldwide. According to the World Health Organization, they have a universal healthcare system known as the Caja, which is quite affordable, with costs typically ranging from 7% to 11% of your monthly income. Private healthcare options are also available if you prefer, with reasonable costs for doctor visits and medical procedures.
And what are the visa requirements for you to retire in Costa Rica?
The retirement visa, called the pensionado visa, requires you to demonstrate a lifetime monthly pension income of at least $1,000 USD. There's no minimum age requirement to qualify for this visa.
So that's a plus.
Which is a big plus.
For many of you. Okay, so how about safety and the culture? For you in Costa Rica?
Generally, Costa Rica is considered a safe country, ranking 39th safest in the 2023 Global Peace Index. However, it's always wise to use common sense and be aware of your surroundings. The culture is diverse and very welcoming, embodying the Pura Vida philosophy. It has roots in Spanish and indigenous traditions, with influences from Afro-Caribbean and Asian cultures, and a strong focus on enjoying nature and outdoor activities.
Got it. Are there any important things you should consider if Costa Rica's on your radar?
Taxes on imported goods can be quite high. Also, the processes for obtaining visas and residency can sometimes take time, so patience is important. It's also highly recommended that you explore different regions of the country thoroughly before deciding on a specific place to call home.
Okay, let's turn our attention to Mexico, our neighbor to the south, often talked about for its close proximity to the U.S. Its vibrant culture. And lower cost of living. So what does it offer you?
Well, Mexico provides the advantage of being geographically close to the U.S., a rich and lively culture, and a significantly more affordable cost of living. It's estimated to be nearly half of what you might expect in the U.S.
So what kind of monthly budget could an expat couple like you anticipate?
It's quite possible for expat couples to live comfortably on a monthly budget ranging from $1,500 to $3,500, and in certain areas it could even be less. For instance, you might find a one-bedroom apartment near the waterfront in Cozumel, renting for around $500 a month.
And what about healthcare options in Mexico?
Mexico has both a public healthcare system, which is generally free for citizens and legal residents, and a private healthcare system. Private health insurance can be quite affordable, potentially around $1,700 per year, with a deductible of about $5,000. Many healthcare professionals in Mexico also speak English fluently. There's often a perception that doctors there, really prioritize patient well-being. And I think the 180-day visa-free policy can also be appealing if you're considering Mexico for medical or dental care.
So what about the visa process if you're planning to reside in Mexico long-term?
To live in Mexico for an extended period, you'll likely need to obtain either a temporary or permanent residence card. This generally requires demonstrating proof of a certain level of monthly income, with higher income thresholds for permanent residency.
So safety is a concern often raised about Mexico. What's the reality?
For expats, while Mexico does have a higher overall crime rate, and some areas can be more dangerous than others, many popular expat and tourist destinations are generally safe if you take sensible precautions. So it's advisable to avoid less traveled highways, involvement with illegal substances, displaying expensive belongings openly, and to be cautious at night, some of the more popular. And generally safer expat areas include Alishajit, Lake Chapala, Puerto Vallarta, and San Miguel de Allende.
So crossing the Atlantic.
Spain.
Known for its diverse landscapes. Well-developed infrastructure.
It's got a lot going for it.
What makes it attractive for your retirement?
Well, Spain offers a wide variety of climates and lifestyles. All within a country that has excellent infrastructure and modern amenities.
What about the cost of living for you? How much does it vary across the country?
The cost of living in Spain can differ quite a bit, depending on where you choose to live. Major cities like Madrid tend to be more expensive. For example, a single person living in Madrid might have monthly expenses around $2,200, including rent and utilities. However, smaller cities and towns, especially along the Mediterranean coast, are typically more affordable. You might find furnished studio apartments in a place like Alicante starting at around $800 per month.
And what about healthcare? In Spain?
Spain boasts very high standards of healthcare, and it's generally quite affordable compared to the U.S. Private health insurance is usually a requirement for non-immigrant O-visa holders. And while the cost varies with age, it can be significantly less than what you might pay in the States. Spain also has a public healthcare system that's free for citizens who pay taxes. And as an expat, you can often buy into the system after a year of residency. However, it's worth noting that waiting times for certain procedures in the public system can sometimes be longer.
So what are the primary visa options for Americans looking to retire in Spain?
There are several possibilities. The non-lucrative visa is often used as a retirement visa. It requires you to demonstrate substantial passive income or savings and does not permit you to work in Spain. You need to apply for this visa from your home country. After living in Spain for 5 years, you can apply for permanent residency, which does allow you to work. The golden visa, which is tied to a significant real estate investment, might be discontinued in 2025. There's also a telework or digital nomad visa for those who continue to work remotely.
And how about safety and the culture for you in Spain?
Spain is considered to have exceptionally high levels of personal safety, with very low rates of violent crime. The culture is rich and vibrant, with wonderful food and wine, friendly people, and a relaxed social way of life.
Are there any important considerations if you're thinking about retiring in Spain?
The Spanish tax system can be quite complex, so it's advisable to seek professional advice. Also, you might find that English is not as widely spoken outside of the major metropolitan areas and tourist hotspots.
So let's journey to Southeast Asia and talk about Thailand. Often described as a tropical paradise. What's the appeal for retirees?
Well, Thailand offers a beautiful tropical climate, stunning beaches, a rich and fascinating culture, and a cost of living that is generally quite affordable.
So what kind of monthly budget might a couple need in Thailand?
It's estimated that couples can live comfortably on a monthly budget between $1,500 and $2,500. Rent for a nice studio apartment in Bangkok might be around $600 a month. And daily food costs could average about $15. Transportation within Bangkok could be less than $100 per month. In Chiang Mai, you might find a one-bedroom apartment for under $500 a month in rent. And dinner for two at a night market could cost as little as $12.
And what's the healthcare situation look like in Thailand?
Thailand has an excellent and well-developed medical tourism industry, offering high-quality healthcare at costs that are often around 30% of what you might pay in the U.S. Health insurance coverage is generally a requirement for retirees. To give you an idea of the savings, a hip replacement in Thailand might cost less than a third of the price in the United States.
Wow. What about the visa options for those of you looking to retire in Thailand?
The non-immigrant visa category O is a common retirement visa for those aged 50 and over. There's also the non-immigrant OA visa and a 10-year LTR visa designed for individuals with significant income or investments, as well as a digital nomad visa. It's important to be aware that visa regulations in Thailand can sometimes change.
And what's the lifestyle and culture like in Thailand?
You'll encounter incredibly warm and welcoming people, a fascinating blend of ancient temples and modern life, and diverse expat communities, including a significant number of digital nomads. The cuisine is not only delicious, but also very healthy.
Are there any things you should keep in mind if Thailand is on your list?
The climate is humid and tropical year-round, which might not be ideal for everyone. Also, travel to and from the U.S. involves quite long flights.
So let's consider another option in Southeast Asia, Malaysia. What does it have to offer? Retirees.
Malaysia is known for its interesting mix of cultures, its affordability, and access to top-notch healthcare.
So what about the cost of living for you there?
It's generally lower than in the U.S. or Europe. In Kuala Lumpur, you might find a one-bedroom apartment renting for $300 to $500 per month. With utility costs around $40 to $60, local meals can be very inexpensive. Places like Penang and Malacca offer even better value with lower rent and a more relaxed pace of life.
And the healthcare system?
In Malaysia.
Malaysia boasts world-class private hospitals, where many of the doctors speak English. The costs for medical care are significantly lower than in Western countries. A specialist visit might cost you just $10 to $50 USD. And procedures like cataract surgery or dental work considerably cheaper. There's also good and affordable care available for aging individuals, including home care services.
And what are the visa options for those of you wanting to retire in Malaysia?
The retiree visa is typically obtained through the Malaysia My Second Home MM2H program, which can grant you a visa for up to 10 years for access to public hospital rates. Foreign residents are generally required to have foreign worker hospitalization and surgical insurance.
And what's the culture and expat community like in Malaysia?
Malaysia has a rich cultural heritage.
Yeah.
With influences from Malay,
Chinese, Indian, and indigenous communities. It has a vibrant food scene and numerous festive celebrations throughout the year. You'll find thriving expat communities in cities like Kuala Lumpur, Penang, and Johor Bahru. English is widely spoken, and official signage is often in English.